G'day, Stephen Jones here. I'm Labor spokesperson for Regional Australia. I'm really sorry that I can't be with you at your conference today. Unfortunately, Parliament's sitting and Canberra's a long way from Port Augusta. Let me start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which your conference is being held. I also want to acknowledge the SEGRA people and the great work that you do in keeping the conversation and the policy development going for the benefit of regional Australia. When I was with you last time in Albany, I really enjoyed the conversation we had. I spoke of the importance of Australian governments dealing with the issue of inequality. It's a growing problem. It's a big problem when you look at the inequality between people who live in our capital cities and people who live in the regions, rural and remote Australia. I talked about the fact that if you live in the cities, you're more likely to be in the top 20% of Australia's income earners, and if you're in regional Australia, you're more likely to be in the bottom 20% of income earners. We know that inequality affects just about everything from your life expectancy, your access to healthcare, even your participation in education. You know, there's about a 7% gap between school completion rates if you live in the city compared to people who are living in regional and remote Australia. If we can't get education right, how are we going to address the issue of growing inequality in this country? Well, it seems over the last year that the government's changed its tune on inequality as well. I mean, the Treasurer himself was calling us socialists when we first started talking about it, but now he's acknowledged that we've got a problem and that we need to have more inclusive growth. Unfortunately, a lot of their policies are driving us in the other direction. I'm thinking about the $65 billion unfunded corporate tax cut, which delivers overwhelming benefits to businesses in the capital cities in 4 times the rate to the benefits that delivers businesses in regional Australia. But it also has an impact on the revenue that's available for us to put in place the programs and build the infrastructure that is so sorely needed in regional Australia. You would be quite interested in what our policies are going to be, given that we are no more than 18 months away from the next federal election. Well, I can't give you chapter and verse of all of the details of the policies that we'll take on regional Australia, but I can give you a very good insight into the framework we'll be taking. And we will have addressing inequality at its core. Can I say that we fundamentally reject the policy notion that has been so much a part of the coalition party's approach to dealing with regional Australia. That is the fact that we've got to have some sort of trade-off between cutting investment in human services and human capital and providing a few dollars for infrastructure projects, small infrastructure projects in the lead up to an election. We don't believe that there should be a trade-off between these two areas. In fact, Labor believes that investing in our human capital is one of the most important things that we can do. That's why we'll be investing in education. And when I talk about education, I'm not just talking about those years between the ages of 5 and 18, as if somehow magically that's the only years where we need to be investing in a person's human capital, their education. I know that when I travel through regional areas, we've got lots of people who are doing it tough, where investment in vocational education can be a game changer. I'm thinking of our high youth unemployment rates in regional Australia. I'm thinking about single mums who need a hand to get back into the workplace. I'm thinking about those guys who've worked for their entire life, but sometime in their late 40s or early 50s, they've found themselves out of work for the first time in their life. It's these sorts of people that our great system of TAFE was designed to help. Sometimes TAFE being the pathway out of unemployment, long-term unemployment, and back into a job. We need to be investing in vocational education, in skills, and in those transition programs that help people back into a job, a decent job, which is a much better alternative than welfare. We believe that investing in infrastructure is also important, but the sorts of infrastructure we'll be prioritising is the stuff that connects people who are living in regional Australia, not only to the markets and the education institutions and the healthcare practitioners of our capital cities, but also the world. We believe that we can, with the right sort of infrastructure, particularly the right sort of communications infrastructure, be opening up regional Australia to the opportunities that exist in our modern globe. We know that we've got to do a lot better with our mobile phone system and with our broadband. I've had some critical things to say about the government's mobile phone black spot program. We agree that the government has a role to play in investing in mobile phone black spots and base stations where they don't currently exist. But we think it should be community need, not political factors, which are governing where we invest in those base stations. We'll have a lot more to say about this in the lead up to the election. And while I'm talking about communications infrastructure, I have to talk about the national broadband network. We shouldn't be investing $50 billion in a national broadband network which for many Australians isn't delivering them a better service than the one they've got today. We need to do a lot more than that as a country if we are going to compete not only with the region but with the globe. So expect us to have a lot more to say about how we improve the mess that is the National Broadband Network project and how we can improve the mobile phone coverage throughout regional Australia. I want to finish on this point. If we are going to do something to ensure that we do advance the welfare and prosperity of this country for all Australians, then we have to do something about inequality. Inequality is not a natural state of affairs, it's about policy choices. And Labor will be ensuring that we're investing in our people, in the places that matter, to ensure that as we go forward as a great country, we are doing so in a way that brings the benefits that people in our capital cities take for granted to regional, rural and remote Australia as well. Regional Australia is a great place to live. We love living there, but we've got to ensure that it's a great place to look for a job and to run a business, to go to school or TAFE or university as well. I look forward to continuing the conversation with you on all of these issues, and I hope you have another great conference. Thanks very much.